Hi everyone, thank you today for joining us to talk about mastering social media in your dealership. My name is Kyle O'Grady, Senior Marketing Coordinator for Trader Interactive, and I'll be your webinar moderator today. Let's talk through some quick housekeeping before we begin. If you need to make any adjustments to your sound during this presentation, you'll see your audio controls in the webinar control panel. You have the option to toggle between using your computer audio or phone call if you need to change that, as well as adjust your microphone settings and volume. If you think of any questions throughout the presentation, enter them in the questions section of the control panel. And then when we get to the Q&A portion at the end, I'll be sure to answer your questions then. We've also created a Mastering Social Media in Your Dealership guidebook that contains the same information we'll present in this webinar. If you'd like to download the guidebook, click the Handouts dropdown and then click the Adobe file to download the PDF. This will also be available after the webinar if you'd like to access it later. I'd like to introduce you to Simon Heseltine, VP of Audience Growth at Trader Interactive. Simon's team is responsible for driving traffic and branding efforts to Trader Interactive's industry-leading sites. Simon has grown and led diverse award-winning teams of professionals to new levels of success in a variety of highly competitive, fast-paced industries. He's a frequent speaker, trainer, and moderator at conferences around the world on a variety of marketing topics. He has a BA from the University of Humberside in England and a master's in IT from Virginia Tech. We're thrilled to have him host today's webinar. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass the mic over to you, Simon.
Thank you very much, Kyle. Hello, everybody, and no need to adjust your speakers. This is my actual accent. I am excited to be here today to bring you insight and best practices for how you can master social media in your dealership. I promise you that it is easier than you might think. So in this webinar, we're going to take a deep dive into social media and hopefully make this marketing tool an easy and approachable tool you can use to grow your dealership, especially as we navigate our new normal. We'll start with just outlining the significance of social media and why this tool can be an invaluable part of your marketing mix. But because there are so many social media platforms out there, we want to go through all of them so you can better understand which might be the right channel for you. We'll then get into the different kind of content you can post and how to capture high quality visuals that get engagement. And we'll wrap up by talking how you manage and monitor the results of your efforts, with hopefully a little bit of time left over for Q&A. So, all right, let's get into it. What is the significance of these platforms and why do they play such a large part in our personal lives and in our businesses? Well, today there are over 3.5 billion, with a B, social media users out there. Consumers spend an average of 3 hours a day on social media, but they're not just on the platform mindlessly browsing through cat memes and pictures of relatives. 54% of social browsers use social media to research products and services. That's more than half of users that are coming to social just to research and interact with brands. Companies' role on social media has grown. To keep up with your competition, it's important that you have an active, engaging presence. Did you know, for example, that 71% of consumers who have had a positive experience with the brand on social media are likely to recommend the brand to their family and friends? Since your dealership is your brand, having a strong social media presence should be a top priority for you. You could be one shared post away from your next customer, your next big sale. Now, obviously, we're going through this situation at the moment, and the pandemic has only accelerated people's use of social media. Recent research shows that 51% of adults within the US are using social media at higher rates during the pandemic, with folks more hesitant to just run out to a store or visit a dealership. By presenting you and your brand through social media, this gives the consumers a chance to interact with you before even reaching out or stopping by the store. Building awareness is key when it comes to promoting any brand or business. So it's no surprise that almost half of local businesses said they depend on social media to generate brand awareness. And of course, you know who could be part of that number? All your competitors. So give yourself competitive advantage by building your social media presence and using it effectively. This allows you to stay visible and relevant to both returning and new customers. By posting consistently on social media, you have the power to be a recognizable voice in your industry and your local community, keeping those consumers coming back for more. So, yeah, that's great. Social media is important, but that doesn't make the task of setting this up and getting real engagement any easier. You could spend all this time setting up accounts, and if it generates no engagement, well, what's the point? So let's start first with what social media platforms do you even want to use? There are a lot of them out there. You've got Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, Snapchat. There's just so many. And obviously, choosing the right social platform to sign your dealership up for can seem overwhelming, especially when you're starting out. So how do you know which ones are actually worth your time? And which are going to make your life the easiest? For one, it shouldn't take you several months just to learn how to use a platform so you can then begin to post and start engaging with customers. Really, there are only a few you should focus on when it comes to generating the most engagement with your consumers. And we're going to take you through the top used platform by consumers. Now, one thing I do want to mention here as well is make sure that you do reserve your namespace on the social media platforms you're not going to use, just so somebody else doesn't leap in and take that off you. Now, you may think your demographic isn't on social media, so what's the point in trying to figure all of this out? Well, if you think your consumer demographic isn't using social media, you might want to think again. According to Forbes.com, 82% of boomers who use the internet have at least one social media account. And as our market continues to grow, it's important to engage younger audience as they begin to take over family businesses and become young professionals in the construction and agriculture industries. This breakdown here shows that boomers are using Facebook and YouTube the most. Same pretty much goes for Gen X audiences. Gen X does differ from their older generation, where Instagram rounds out that top app that they use. It shows they're more inclined to be on some of the newer platforms that come out. Millennials, of course, spend more time on Facebook. And on Instagram and YouTube, as they are the first generation that grew up as these platforms were becoming relevant. Gen Z is known to have grown up with all the different social media platforms available to them, then tend to favor Instagram, YouTube, and very few use or have Facebook, as you can see on the page. Depending on what demographic you're targeting, you can choose the marketing mix that makes the most sense to meet these goals. Maybe you're trying to retain the baby boomers, the Gen X, and the millennial audiences, so you have a strong Facebook page and upload video content onto YouTube. Or maybe you're trying to reach the sons and daughters of business owners who are slowly influencing their business decisions. Then you might want to start prioritizing Instagram as one of your main platforms. Knowing your goals can help you better understand who your message will reach on these platforms and how you will best be able to engage. So, as you saw on the previous slide, Facebook is widely used from baby boomers to millennials. So if you decide to go with this platform, you have a good chance of engaging with the majority of demographics here. You probably already have a personal Facebook account, which will also make it easier for you to know how to post and how to work the interface. It's a great platform to show off features of a new model or behind the scenes look at your dealership and new incentives you might be running. You can also share customer testimonials so other people browsing your page can get to know the experiences that your other, presumably satisfied, customers have had with you. And be sure to use the algorithm to your advantage. The newsfeed is built to favor video content over link shares and images. So posting walkthroughs of units and clips of equipment can perform well. The increase in users reached will be noticeable from the start. And again, I cannot stress how important video content is on Facebook. Show off the features of a new model. You do some behind the scenes videos to show customers what they can expect in your service department or even your finance office. If you have fun team building activities or potluck with the staff, again, get those out there on video. It doesn't have to be complicated. I'm going to get a little bit more into high quality content a little bit further on in this presentation, so stay tuned for that. You should know your target audience on the platform and set a cadence as to how often you're going to interact with them. When those customers and followers do come into your dealership, don't be afraid to show off. For example, you could use a hashtag like Get It Done Monday and show some of your units in action to kick off everyone's work week. As with any platform, we want to make sure you're looking at your analytics. The last thing we want is for you to come up with this great strategy and put this work into it for no results. Facebook has analytics built into the platform to help you understand the reach and engagement of your posts, as well as information about the people following your page, such as their demographics. Figuring out what is working and what isn't is going to be part of that role. And you need to make sure that you do constantly adjust to make sure that you're getting the best you can out of your Facebook presence. So similar to Facebook, YouTube is another platform used across generations. The benefit that YouTube has over other platforms is that it's owned by Google. So not only is it the second largest search engine in the world used by customers doing their research, but when people go onto Google and search for things like Bobcat excavator or Komatsu excavator, those videos from YouTube are going to be the ones that are going to be most likely to match the results that show up in the Google search results page. Much more than you're going to see from any other video services. So it's important that you post videos like walk-arounds, product reviews, new feature highlights, and comparison videos over on YouTube. As with other platforms, YouTube is no different, and you want to develop a cadence and post consistency. When you post videos, you need to be very specific with keywords and tags you use in your upload. You'll want to make sure that you are putting a good title on there, you're putting a good description in there that has those keywords in it, and ideally, you also want to put a transcript in there, because that's going to help the search engines understand exactly what this video is about and what's covered within it. Optimizing your YouTube uploads for search engines is almost as important as optimizing your website. Again, a consistent theme is to post during peaks in traffic to YouTube. If you're posting your content at midnight before you go to bed, you're going to get less views. People are not going to be as engaged at that point. And again, these videos don't need to be long, drawn out movies. A few minutes or seconds are sometimes all you need to garner views. Videos under 2 minutes generate the most views on YouTube. And you do want to make absolutely sure that your videos are optimized for mobile. More people use mobile devices to access the internet than use desktop devices. So make sure that you do things like not including a lot of small text or nice long distance artistic views of the equipment. You want to make sure that folks that are viewing these videos on their phone are going to be able to see everything that you are trying to convey to them. LinkedIn. 94% of B2B marketers use LinkedIn as their #1 social platform to distribute content. And the great thing about that is that they're absolutely professionals that are on there. Their roles. So you're selling to other professionals on LinkedIn, and you are in that way connecting with like-minded people. When a consumer logs into LinkedIn, they're in a professional and work-minded mindset. It helps if you think of LinkedIn as the Facebook of the career side of your life. Your time spent marketing here will be connecting with other business professionals. 80% of social media B2B leads come from LinkedIn. So it's important to have a presence here to share your business successes and wins and congratulate others on their successes. This is where you will really build a community of professionals. When using LinkedIn, you want to remain professional and focus on the wins and successes of your business. Follow your OEMs and share relevant industry content and wins from them as well. Share interesting articles and content related to industry content. Don't be afraid to highlight the professionals in your business as well. LinkedIn is a great way to highlight the talent in your own company. Maybe you had someone come on as an intern and they're now your director of marketing, or an entry-level salesperson who is now your top earner. This is a platform to brag about those wins to a community that is interested in seeing your success. You also want to ensure that you are talking about promotions on this platform weeks in advance. The newsfeed over on LinkedIn is set up to showcase a mix of posts from recently to some that are potentially a few weeks old. Ensure you reach your audience by posting in advance and often. There is, of course, paid advertising available on this as well. And with any platform, you want to ensure that you are monitoring your analytics and demographics to see how you are performing. So Instagram. Instagram is solely media focused. It's beautiful and picturesque images and videos of your units, or walkarounds of your inventory, or photos of your customer, or even user-generated content. Content submitted, created by your customers. They are going to be the bread and butter of these platforms, especially as we see an uptick in DIYers needing to rent equipment for at-home projects on their property. It's a good idea to start attracting these new customers on a platform they might be using regularly. And of course, Instagram, owned by Facebook. Don't let the beautiful images intimidate you. This is a great platform to leverage your consumers. Ask them to share their content with you or tag you in their posts. And you can feature it on your page. Maybe it's a once a week post of Muddy Mondays, where you can show a great image of a unit getting the job done. Don't be limited by what you traditionally thought of social media over on Instagram. Now, when it comes to Instagram, you do have to remember that high quality images are key. Use your staff, customers, old and new, and tell a visual story of life on the job site, on the farm, or just of doing some DIY in their own backyard. Take note of what gets the most engagement. If some images get a lot of likes, focus on those. If there are those that don't get views, then don't focus on those. I mean, it's pretty much common sense. When you see something working, you see something resonating with your audience, that's what you need to steer towards. And your followers are going to be great about that because they're going to be telling you what they want. You just have to listen and see what they're thumbing up, what they're commenting on, and then you adjust your strategy as needs be. Just remember that social media, like many other marketing tactics, cannot and will not be perfected overnight. It takes time to get your flow right. Use hashtags on your posts to appear in more searches and get discovered. There are plenty of free resources to use in your hashtag research. Some of the top three are, I would say, like Hashtagify, Keyhole, and RiteTag, that's R-I-T-E tag. They'll help you to reach an even broader audience. Now, social media is a very visual form of entertainment. People log on to look at images, they look at videos, in a lot of cases for escapism. So I can't stress it enough, but it is important to ensure that you share and produce engaging content with your audience. Now I know what you're thinking. Content? Sure. I'll spend all day making sales, maintaining units, making sure my staff is productive, monitoring overhead costs, running an entire dealership, and then I'll squeeze in a few minutes to write a 1,000 to 1,500 word essay on why someone should buy my commercial vehicles. But that's not really what I'm saying. What I'm actually saying here is that content covers a wide range of media types. This is not a term for one kind, but it's instead the umbrella term for a wide array of other types of media. Articles are only a small portion of what I'm talking about when I refer to content. And as I mentioned, going over best practice with our main social media platforms, videos are typically what performs best on these platforms. So yes, you should be sharing articles on best practices, but you should also be sharing videos, contests, promotions, posts about your inventory, offer giveaways and fun polls and questions, any different way that you can engage with your audience. You should have a diverse array of content to post to your audience to keep them interested and, again, engaged. Now, when it comes to written articles, and again, we're not saying don't do written articles, make sure your content is approachable. If it's all industry jargon, you're going to turn people away. If you're bored thinking about what you're writing, why are you bothering to write it? Because you're just going to bore your audience too. So be creative. Share things that you are passionate about, things that you are knowledgeable about, so that your consumers can share their passion and knowledge about it too. You are the subject matter expert. Share your expertise with the world. Your customers will benefit by you simply sharing your insights on the industry. So a short blurb you come up with about maintenance or caring for your inventory or winterizing will go a long way. Create digestible content that gets straight to the point, and don't be afraid to showcase your units. If you can't find the time to put together articles, there are lots of freelance writers out there who can put together content on topics you might want for your business. Typically, they're lowish cost, and the content they create can be shared over and over again. But also in cases like that, think about evergreen content, things like winterizing units that you can use and share year after year after year. They don't have to be time limited. So here are a few examples of some different articles shared on Facebook through our brand, Equipment Trader. One talks about tips for buying heavy equipment online. Another talks about self-contained compactors, tips on attending a trade show, and a fun list of construction theme parks. These are all topics I know you're the experts in and passionate about. Write out the top reasons, the steps or the process, and just expand on each one. Let your consumers know when they come to buy a unit from you, they are dealing with a knowledgeable staff. And always remember to check out your leading OEMs or other industry experts' social media pages and blogs. For example, again, we're sharing Equipment Trader there. We've always got content that you can share to your pages to help engage your customers with. Even though you didn't necessarily write the original article, your customers will appreciate knowing that you have your finger on the pulse of the industry, that you're out there looking for interesting things for them. Polls are another great example of fun content you can share with your followers. Kubota does a great job of sparking up debate and posting two of their RTVs side by side and letting their followers decide which is superior. They have an entire series around that in a bracket game that eventually led with one piece of equipment on top. This could be something that you come up with weekly to keep your customers engaged and looking forward to every week. It is fun and doesn't always have to be equipment related, or at least directly equipment related. Pose the question of sandwiches should be cut horizontal or diagonal, or if a meal doesn't have meat, it's not a meal. Facebook and Instagram both have options where you can customize these and add images and add polls to your posts. And you can also kind of sneakily use this as customer research. Ask your followers whether they find themselves busier in the winter or summer, and that can give you an idea of when you might receive more foot traffic. Other great pieces of content you can share are contests and giveaways. Now, we're not suggesting that you give away an actual piece of equipment unless that's something you really want to do. What we're saying is it's really up to you. Go as small as doing a contest for some free swag or a free maintenance check. Host a contest for former customers where they have to post a picture on the job and your other followers have the ability to vote for the best picture and choose a winner. The possibilities are endless, and all of them create a ton of fun content. Again, the prize does not have to be big. You can even partner with local businesses to help put together the price package. It gives everyone in your community a chance to engage with the customers. Run them as frequently or as infrequently as you wish. Just be aware that on different social media platforms, they do have specific rules around contests. So if you're going to do a contest over on Facebook, make sure to check out their guidelines as to what you can and cannot say around contests. Now, of course, if you're doing a promotion yourself, share it on your social media pages. People go to social to get to better know the dealerships and businesses. They're researching and planning to make purchases from those businesses. So if you're saying you have these promotions, then they're more likely to be interested. If they know the kind of promotions you run, and if you run those promotions frequently, what the offerings look like, it helps them to be able to plan better for a big upcoming purchase that they may be getting ready to make. And just like you'd share your promotions, make sure you're sharing the actual units you have available to sell. Make your sales pitch with a caption that entices people to look closer and find a little more detail. Looking to tackle that project on your property and not break the bank, we've got you covered. By enticing your followers to follow the link to your site, you are driving traffic to your site. And even if that isn't the unit that they end up purchasing, you've got them on your site and you're able to showcase all your other units. And thereby, you ultimately lead them closer to a conversion. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the most engaging forms of content on all these platforms is video. A lot of these platforms are designed for and favor videos. So it's important to include them in your posting schedule. And I'm going to show you that video should not be a pain point, but can be an easy and inexpensive way to engage your audience. Now, obviously, there is a preconceived notion that it's going to take too much time to produce, write, direct an entire video. To hire a production company to take on this task, you're going to eat up a huge portion of your budget for what could be little to no return. But that's not how it is these days. When it comes to social media, smartphones have come so far in the last few years that the new iPhone shoots in 4K. So with a little practice, anyone can create professional looking content for the dealership. They don't have to be perfect. These videos can be quick and short. You don't need a script. You don't need anybody directing you. People like authenticity. They like seeing real people. Now, taking the time to learn a few tips and tricks to film on your own is worth it. Let's take a look at how consumers are interacting with video content online. Did you know that half of online activity is spent watching videos, and users spend an average about 6 hours and 48 minutes a week watching videos online? And now people are watching videos even more during our current COVID-19 situation. And with 85% of internet users in the US consuming video content on social, it really does seem like this is the time to step up your game. Video marketing is going to help you captivate your audience, engage your buyers, and increase your sales through social media. And of course, not only are people dedicating a large amount of time to watching these videos online, but they're retaining the information better than if you were to share a text article. 90% of information transmitted to the brain is visual, and visuals are processed 60,000 times faster in the brain than text. So viewers wind up retaining about 95% of a message when they watch it in a video, compared to about 10% when they read it in text. And shooting and filming videos these days, again, is a lot easier than you might think. Firstly, although you might think that you need to have high quality production equipment, most phones these days have more than enough capability to film high quality videos. There's no need for fancy cameras and other equipment. But you do want to make sure you're using a newer phone that you know shoots in HD. If you don't have the newest phone, check with some of your sales staff. If they're into the latest tech, they might even enjoy helping to film some of the content. Stay steady. If you're going to be walking around the lot showing off inventory, it might sound unorthodox, but a selfie stick does wonders for those walk around videos. It stops the shaking. You can also get budget smartphone stabilizers on Amazon and other digital resellers that are out there. We have those linked in the guidebook that Kyle talked about earlier. In many cases, this is your customer's first impression of you, so make it count. You don't get many chances to make a first impression. Firstly, take some time to listen to your surroundings before you hit record. If it's windy, there's a lot of traffic, there are people in the showroom, there are kids running around, you might want to wait for a few minutes. You want to have as little background noise as possible to keep your words clear and easy to hear. And while we said don't script, practice does make perfect. It's okay to practice beforehand what you think you're going to say. Don't feel like you've got to get everything right in the first take. Try not to use those filler words like like. If you're stumbling on your selling points, start over and make your delivery smoother. Watch the videos back, or have somebody else watch them back for you objectively, and see whether you would buy from you or they would buy from you. That is your goal. You're trying to get yourself out there as that subject matter expert for folks that can't come into your dealership. So with enough practice in front of the camera, the confidence will come naturally, and the chance of success will be much, much higher. So by taking extra time to create these videos, you are connecting with your consumers in a whole new way. It provides an element of sound which can automatically make your customers feel as if they're getting to know you, especially when you leverage this to show off the personalities of your sales team. It'll provide engaging content for your consumers and humanize your brand. Your goal should be to cultivate those relationships with your audience. After you create these videos, you can upload them to your social channels where they can live forever. Even a year from now, future customers will be able to scroll through your videos and get a sense of your dealership's personality, that brand voice that you have, that sense of fun, or however you wish to get the personality out there of your dealership. So not only are videos a great way to show off that personality, they are a great way to show off your expertise. Add value to your consumer's equipment buying experience by creating how-to videos on all aspects of buying and owning your units. You're going to have consumers who are at different levels. Some are absolutely going to be almost as expert as you are. They're going to want to know that nitty-gritty. Some, this is going to be the first time they've used that equipment. They may need to know how to turn it on. So don't think that anything is really beneath you. It allows you to appeal to those who are starting out in their jobs. People who are buying older models or renting older models, plus those buying the latest models with new features that they don't necessarily know about. You can also showcase product walkthroughs for all the different units you have available. As your consumers start conducting their initial research on a product, you will gain traffic from those just looking for more information on a unit or for those how-tos. And then you will, through that engagement, you'll bring them back until they actually go through that whole purchase process. As I said before, don't be afraid if your video goes on for a few minutes. People who are interested in the new engine, the mechanics, and the details of how their new piece of equipment will operate will appreciate that in-depth look. But also remember that we are in that time of social distancing right now. We don't know quite how long that's all going to go on for. Consumers might not be able to make it to your dealership to listen to you in person, go through these details. This video that we're showing here is a 25-minute long video of walkarounds of different units. And you can see it has over 745,000 views. Sometimes what you're explaining needs a few extra minutes, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it doesn't always have to be unit-specific content. Remember, you want to show off your dealership's personality. So maybe it's your staff getting together on the latest socially distant dance trend and posting a video. It lets your followers know that you're up to date on the current trends. Is someone on your team musically gifted? Show off their skills. Or like in this video, maybe just go into a little bit of your history and let your employees give their personal recommendations of the business. You get to know some of the employees and a little bit about how a family business works and how the family business really cares. And for a consumer, it then gives them a really good idea of the experience and the depth of knowledge that they're going to get by engaging with your dealership. So that's all good. But as you start to build out your strategy, you actually need to have somebody to implement it. You can't post with no set plan. You have to have consistency on your messaging. You can't have different people posting with different voices. It confuses the audience. So ideally, to keep that uniform branding message, there should be one dedicated person. Now, throwing this onto someone's desk to take care of sporadically is not going to be an ideal situation. Your dealership could end up with something like an identity crisis. And again, I know that as a dealer, you have a million other tasks to take care of on any given day, plus the other 5 million that just happen to show up throughout the course of the day. So dedicating time to a social media strategy can seem daunting when it can just seem easy to just say, just click and post when you remember to do it. But without advanced planning, it is more likely than not going to end up being a waste of your time and your employees' time. To understand who the best person to dedicate their time to this would be, you're going to have to ask yourself a few questions. So look at what's currently on your plate. Can you add in creating social content, or can your current marketing manager add this task onto their plate with all those other hats they're wearing? If your current team doesn't have the bandwidth, do you have the capital available to hire a social media strategist or a freelancer or an agency? Look up the average salary in your area for this position, see if that is a possibility for you. You could potentially bring in interns for this position, but you do want to bear in mind, this is basically a customer service on the internet position. Is this something you want to give to somebody untested and untried? And again, you also might want to look at your sales team. You may have somebody on there who's extremely passionate about social and would want to jump at a chance to work on this. Also recognizing that if they happen to be the face of social, there's a chance that people are going to be coming into the dealership and looking for them. Now, unfortunately, this decision is going to be personal to your dealership. It's going to depend on what you have available, what your resources are. So there is no one unifying answer for every dealership. It's going to be something that you are going to have to work through and figure out. But once you have that, what we can do is tell you how to get it all started. You need to start out with a plan. It is going to mean that you are going to have much more of a chance of success. One of the easiest ways to plan for posts on social is to create a schedule or a calendar. Followers are going to be looking forward to seeing regular posts. You're going to train people to expect to see your posts. Planning for social media is meant to make life easier. You create a schedule that you can handle, but keep in mind that while people are at home, they are looking for new content. Share photos, promotions, videos, and articles, and make sure that you're ready to be flexible and adjust to any new kind of trends that emerge. Don't be stuck so tightly to a schedule that you miss out on authentic opportunities to engage with your audience, especially with things like viral challenges. That one on the top left there, pick your ideal scenario, was posting about, the new norms. You have things like the viral memes like the Dolly Parton challenge, You have National Day and posting fun photos around that. One thing I do want to say here, though, is if you do see that there is something happening in the world, there's some natural disaster that's occurred, make sure you don't post on those days. You don't want to be seen as not caring or blind to what else is going on in the world. But when you do take advantage of opportunities as they show up, you're going to be creating relevant content that's going to be, putting you at the top of searches and at the top of people's minds. So, as a general rule, don't throw out too many posts. For each social media channel, we're going to say, look, you probably want to start out with about 1 to 3 posts a week on Facebook, 1 to 2 on LinkedIn, 1 to 2 on Instagram, and 1 to 2 videos a month on YouTube. That is not going to be ideal for your dealership, but it's a starting point. Your posting volumes are going to be different for your audience. As you start out with a regular cadence, you'll be able to see how and when they engage with your posts. You can then play with your posting schedule and figure out what works best for your audience and your dealership. Think about the time of day. Obviously right now we are in interesting times. So posting in the current scenario may be different from when we hopefully get to a post-COVID world and back to folks in the office. When they're back in the office, folks may be checking your sites out, your social sites out at lunchtime, right after work or on the weekends. That might not be the case right now. So you're going to need to monitor and adjust as you see engagement, and obviously with the types of content that you're posting as well. Look and see what gets engagement. Look and see what resonates with your audience. So back to your brand voice. There's a lot that goes into creating your social media persona. Just like we talked about with the video content, you want to make sure that your posts convey your dealership's personality, or at least the personality that you want to put out there for your dealership. So you need to understand what your voice online will be, and you want to try and keep it consistent. Are you going to be sassy and funny when replying to comments? Are you just going to put emojis on there? Are you only going to post positivity? Are you going to get honest with your followers? There are some sites that snark works well for them. It might not work well for you. But you need to find what your voice is. You need to ensure that that voice is contributing to your social media presence, and that everyone who's contributing to it is aware and knows the parameters of what you are trying to showcase. And as we continue to socially distance, and many people are finding in-person events either postponed or cancelled, it's important to keep in mind that people are relying on social media for a sense of community. As you build your audience, you're building an audience of like-minded enthusiasts and professionals looking to connect with others on topics that interest them. Maybe they're business professionals looking to see how others are navigating their way through this virus, or do-it-yourselfers looking to connect with the pros. Maybe you're the page to connect someone looking to make a career change in the midst of a job loss. Whoever is managing your account should spark these conversations and connections and grow not only your social media following, but your customer base through these efforts. And as you build this community, you are building your reputation. 92% of consumers believe recommendations from friends and family over all forms of advertising. The more referrals you can generate to your social pages, the more likely you are to gain trust of new consumers. Encouraging customers to leave reviews and share their posts tagging you is a great way to expand your reach. A post that mentions, I did this new unit to our farm and XYZ dealership couldn't have made it easier. It's sometimes all the convincing a follower of theirs may need to also reach out and connect with you. Sharing your post on how to care for your unit also helps spread awareness of your dealership and the expertise you provide your consumers. So as important as people's close circles are to the spreading the awareness of a brand, customers, especially the younger millennial and Gen Z generations, are also quick to trust and value the opinion of complete strangers. 90% of consumers read online reviews before visiting a business, and 88% of those consumers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. So it's important that you monitor and encourage positive reviews from your customers on all your social sites and those secondary review sites. Now, of course, sometimes getting these reviews is easier said than done. In order to help jumpstart your reviews, there are some great ways you can incentivize people. First, start with your sales staff who work closely with the customers. At the end of every month, maybe offer a prize for the sales rep who gets the most reviews that mentions their names in full. You can also go directly to your customers, offer a free inspection in 6 months for anyone that leaves a review for your business. Also, trust your sales process. Create an experience so wonderfully easy and enjoyable that people feel compelled to leave that great review for your business. If you've had an interaction with a business that left you feeling that you wanted to shout about it from the roof, you are more likely to actually go out there and put that review out there so other folks can see that same experience. You want to make sure that you are checking your notifications, your comments, your private messages regularly, and make sure to respond as soon as you see a message, ideally within 24 hours. Keep in mind that Facebook shows how quickly you respond directly on your business page, and first impressions are everything on social media. If someone's out there and leaves a positive review, respond with a thank you or a smiley face. Now, of course, for every 10, 15 great reviews you get, there's going to be those bad reviews that are going to potentially tarnish your reputation. A lot of the time they may be out of your control. People may leave a business on good terms only for you to see later that they left you a 1-star review. At that point you might think it's too late, but it's not. Again, answer back to them. Leave them a comment. See if there's a way you can rectify the situation. Take it offline. Take it into a private call, a private message. Give them your personal phone number. Have them call you and see if you can get them to change. Many times you can save a bad review with your response. If there's no saving it, there's going to be a point where you're going to need to just walk away and say, okay, I'm really sorry for the situation. There's nothing I can do with it. But then you can bury that bad review with an influx of good reviews to push that one further back. And honestly, as people are looking at reviews, they do expect to see the occasional neutral or negative one. If all they see are positive reviews, that can make them feel like maybe something's being manipulated here, even when it isn't. And absolutely do not attempt to manipulate reviews. So as you build and create your social media strategy, keep in mind what your ultimate goal is. Determine what your upfront goals are going to be and how to measure them. Social is meant to be fun and creative, but putting all that work in and not yielding successful results can be a waste of both your time and, again, your staff's time. If your goal is awareness, brand awareness, focus on how far your message is spreading. Measure the volume, the reach, the exposure when you look at your performance. If your goal is engagement with your audience, take a note of how people are participating, what content they're participating with, and how often they are engaging. Measure factors like shares, video views, comments, replies, participation. And if your ultimate goal is to drive traffic back to your website, ensure you are sharing links and use URL share clicks and conversions to measure to see if you are reaching those goals. After you've been at your social media strategy for a few months, determine what your benchmarks are. If you're looking for a benchmark stat that is hard to determine or give generalized numbers, let's just say that a good conversion rate back to your website might be 1%. Again, this varies on many different factors, but a lot of times that traffic ultimately comes back later via direct traffic or organic search when they are ready to buy, because they already know your name from the branding you've created around your dealership. And don't let all this hard work go to waste. Watch your views, your engagement, and the messages you receive to your pages. If you're using Google Analytics to monitor your site traffic, the best way to see how videos return drive return to your site is by tagging the URLs you share in your posts with tracking codes. In Google, you can use a free URL campaign builder to help you structure and track these different efforts. And again, make sure to routinely review your social media analytics, just like you would your dealership reporting, to see if your social strategy needs to be adjusted. If you've set specific goals for your social channel, like growing your follower account or increasing inquiries by a certain percentage, use reporting to see how the results are stacking up against them. Are you succeeding? Are your followers engaging? What needs to change? And as you look at your share numbers, engagement level, conversion rate, and more, take the time to get to know your audience better. Social media is a hugely undervalued resource for getting to know your customer. Yet it's giving you a direct pathway to what they're truly interested in. Some key audience demographics you can see through your social analytics are your audience's gender and age, location, interests, household income, consumer behavior, specific times of day they're on the platform, and many more. All this can help you to formulate a better overall business strategy if you know these general parameters around your audience. Social media is worth investing in and worth dedicating time to learn and understand and to create a branding message with far reach. To help your branding go even further, there are many products available to help you extend your reach. So I hope a lot of the tips and tricks we shared today have been enlightening and maybe something you hadn't thought of yet to try on your social sites. But I do want to take a couple of minutes now just to quickly go through other products you can try and add into your mix if you feel you've exhausted all your organic social options. So one of the best parts about social media is how cost effective your efforts can be. Your monthly spend can be $100 and you can ensure your messaging reaches beyond just your followers. If you want to reach outside of your followers, you can do a boosted post or a sponsored post. Additionally, you can target very specific audiences when you're boosting or sponsoring. So if you are having a sale or a promotion, you can boost the post and increase your advertising reach. And these are fairly cheap. A little can go a long way. So if you have a promotion you're running or an incentive, you can boost it for $5, $10. And it will reach people who don't follow your social sites, but are similar to people who do follow your social sites. This also helps to ensure that your current followers see your post because it does show in the top of their feeds. Another helpful tool you can use to create a more dynamic social media strategy is the Facebook Business Manager. In here, you can host multiple business accounts, billing information, pixels, and data sources. You can set up customer conversions and audience insights here that you wouldn't have access to through a regular Facebook account. Another great feature of this is it lets you grant access and control over which employees can edit your accounts. This can be helpful if you decide that you have to have multiple people contributing to the overall message, or if you have multiple dealerships. Another feature you gain access to through Facebook Business Manager is creating custom audiences. And by creating these custom audiences through Facebook Business Manager, you can then take advantage of Facebook lookalike audiences. Let's say I want my message to reach people like the profiles that have already acted like the audience I have created. This feature can only be used with Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. It works by taking a pre-existing list that you already have, let's say your current email or customer list, and then cross-references it in Facebook and searches for other profiles similar to the emails you have uploaded. You can also create these lists in your business manager by separating those that interact with certain types of videos. For example, it would be a great tool if you're trying to grow your service department. You can start to collect the emails of those that interact with your service posts. And then from there, create lookalike audiences and expand the reach out to others who might be in need of servicing for their unit. The one caveat with this is that the emails you upload actually need to be linked to Facebook accounts. So if it's someone's work email and their Facebook is registered to a personal email, they're not going to be found. However, it is still a great tool to utilize in expanding your potential reach. Then there are other tools such as this one that does require a little bit more spend, which is social retargeting. It is a great tool that you can utilize to reach customers who may be interested in your inventory. Retargeting is that form of online advertising that I'm sure all of you have encountered when you've gone, why the heck is this ad following me everywhere? It's based on a consumer's previous internet actions or online behavior. It's valuable because unlike traditional advertising that displays to a broad audience, it allows you to focus your ad spend on consumers that you know have some level of interest in your product or service. So for example, you'll go over to Home Depot and then you'll go over to another site and you'll see ads for the tool you were just looking at Home Depot on that other site. There are different types of these retargeting ads depending on what your goal is, and third parties can help you set up these based on what your goal is with these individual ads. Now, of course, if all this seems too overwhelming for you to take into your own dealership, you might want to factor in the benefits of hiring a third-party site to manage your platforms. Of course, there are major advantages to going it alone. There's little to no cost to posts besides your own time. You can develop your own flow slowly and organically, but sometimes the burden is too great. And you might not have the staff available to dedicate the time needed. Third parties ensure you develop a consistent posting schedule, help you not to feel overwhelmed, and saves your staff time. Many third parties will also include data and analytics, reporting in all of their packaging so that even that's taken care of for you. On the downside, it can be expensive. It may still require you to create the content because you're still the subject matter experts. So there can be a lot of challenges around that. So in conclusion, social media has become an important part of the buying process, with consumers heavily relying on companies' social media pages to get a sense of who this business is and what it will be like working with them to find the ideal unit. The pandemic has really just accelerated this reliance, with people having to choose when and how many times they can leave the house every week. Social is also very popular among the millennial and Gen Z audience, if that's who you're trying to target. And to reach these audiences on social, you don't have to have that presence on every platform, but you do have to have it on the ones that your customers and those customers you're attempted to target are on. Then you've got to share that content with them. And that content isn't just articles, but it's those polls, those contests, those promotions, whatever really creates engagement with your customer base. And again, video. Be sure to share video because viewers retain that 95% of a message when they watch it compared to 10% when they read it. And lastly, find the right member of your team to monitor and post to your social presence to ensure that your brand voice, your brand message is as consistent as you can possibly have it. So I hope you've enjoyed today's overview of social media and you feel like it's a little bit more attainable within your dealership. We do like to practice what we preach, so feel free to follow our social media channels, which are all on this slide, if you'd like to get some more tips and tricks of the trade. We do also share influencer and industry content that you could, not going to say steal, let's say borrow from there and share with your audience as well. So feel free to go ahead and do that. And if you're interested in learning more about reaching customers through social media and other marketing channels during and after the current situation, we have created virtual retailing resource centers. These resource centers include guides, trend reports, videos, and articles, all aiming to help you and your dealership cope with these, let's say, interesting times. That's over on equipmentmediakit.com. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Kyle to see if we have some questions. I think we have a couple of minutes left.
Thanks so much, Simon. We had a few questions come in. The first one I see is, should I post a video to YouTube, then share the YouTube link on Facebook as a status, or should I post the video to YouTube and also upload the full video to Facebook?
Yes. You can do either of those. I would say that if you're going to be, I mean, Facebook obviously prefers that you post the videos directly to Facebook because then they're kept within their system. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with posting a YouTube video over there. In fact, I probably would say that the YouTube would be slightly preferable, because what can happen then is while folks will watch it in their Facebook feed, they can potentially still click through on it and go to YouTube. And of course, when they go to that video on YouTube, they're going into your channel on YouTube, and they can see other videos that you have posted on YouTube. So that may then draw them more into, you know, your little ecosystem over on YouTube.
Great, and we'll just do one more real quick. The last one is, how do you find a reputable third party in the construction industry to use for your social?
Well, I mean, I could kind of blow our own trumpet here in that we do have a Go Social program that does that, but I don't want to be, you know, obviously just putting us out there. I would say what you really want to do is you want to take a look and see, one, if you can identify who other folks are using, if other folks are out there, but you want to do your research. You want to make sure that you are finding someone who, for one, is not working for your competitor, because that's obviously not going to help for you. But you want to find someone that does know about the industry to an extent, someone that does have, you know, a good track record, and someone that does have a little bit of a mix in that they have that organic and they also have that paid side as well, because you want someone that, you know, can do those boosts, can do those extra posts to, you know, to make sure that they're reaching more people out there for you, and someone that's also willing to try different things. So I mean, again, very quickly, since it's our product, I'll, you know, just mention that, you know, we've been trying different things with that, and we've actually found that by throwing like an extra $5 on boosting Facebook posts for some of our clients and actually cutting back on the organic posts, we have seen like a triple-digit increase in engagement. So you want to have folks that are actually looking at trying different things and are continuing to adjust. I mean, basically everything I've just talked about for the last hour and a couple of minutes.
Perfect, thank you. So we're kind of running out of time here, so I'll go ahead and wrap up. Thank you again, everyone, for being part of this webinar. Feel free to reach out to us at marketing@traderinteractive.com. We're happy to hear feedback on this webinar, other topics you'd like us to cover, and answer any additional questions you have surrounding social media, the current economic state during this time and beyond. So thanks for tuning in. Stay safe and take care.
Bye all.